5:31 and time to start our regular meeting with a roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton.
Here.
Commissioner Barwick.
Here.
Commissioner Webb.
Here.
Commissioner Stecklin.
Here.
Mayor Absher.
Here. Would you all stand and join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, that brings us to item 3 on the agenda, which is our public comments or audience to visitors. This is the opportunity for anyone to address the council, subject to a couple of different ordinances which are listed on the agenda that govern this portion of the meeting. So I know you would like to speak to the council because you came ahead early, so would you like to go first, please? And if you just go to this microphone. No, that's...
Thank you.
Yeah, right into it, please.
Right into it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, my name is Cynthia, and I am here about the direction I see the town going in now. I noticed when I looked on the website to find out what time the meetings are, that it no longer says that we are a place to raise a family. It now states that we're a place to live, work, play, and grow. And I'm real concerned over the elementary and junior high school children. They shouldn't be sharing Main Street with an adult entertainment store. On one side, our junior high students are 0.7 mile away. And our youngest ones, our most valuable ones, are only half a mile to the other side. You don't have to have a worldview biblically to know what is right and what is good. And I'm just worried we're heading in the wrong direction with our growth. I don't want to compromise our values of a small town. That's all. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else like to address the council? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Ashley DeBoer, and I run a 501c3 nonprofit called The Infinity Project. And I'm here to request approval to host a 5K charity run at the Harry L. Chris Sport Complex on May 3rd of this year. The event will raise funds to support our programs, including vet bill assistance, spay-neuter assistance, microchipping, and pet food banks.
Okay. So you need to do 2 things in order to do that. One, the CRISP complex is owned and controlled by the school district. Have you contacted them? Okay, so you need to probably go to the school office, which is behind the junior high on Cherry Street, and ask to speak to the superintendent there and get their approval to use that facility. And then you're going to need to speak with our chief of police, who's immediately behind you, relative to the route. If the route's going to be completely contained within CRISP, that's a good thing, and probably doesn't need your input, I presume, right, Chief? If it's all on the sports complex and not on the public roadway?
It stays in the sports complex, no issue whatsoever.
Okay.
It wouldn't be access to public roads. It would
Okay.
be complex.
All right, so that's what you're going to need to contact them, and if there's anything we can do to assist you,
Okay.
just let us know.
If they approve it, then I can just do it.
Yep.
Okay, easy enough. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else like to address the council? Okay, hearing no more requests, we'll move on to our consent agenda tonight, which consists of A, B, and C under item 4. Anybody from the council want any item removed from the consent agenda and voted upon separately? Any of our guests like any item on the consent agenda removed from said agenda and voted upon separately? Okay, hearing no requests, I would entertain a motion to pass the consent agenda as presented then.
I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A, B, and C as presented.
I'll second that.
Any question or discussion on any item or sub-item A, B, or C on item 4, the consent agenda? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Commissioner Stecklin,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. Okay, moving on to new business. We're doing public affairs at the beginning of the meeting. It's usually down the agenda. That's for the convenience of some of our guests that we have in the room that are from a little ways away, and I'm sure would like to get back on the road. So tonight, what we have before us under item 5A is approving an ordinance, which is the city, if approved, of course, agreeing to issue Series 2025 Star Bonds. So first of all, I want to kind of set a little bit of a stage here for all of you and for the public on a little bit of the timeline that it took us to get here, at least from my perspective while I've been in office. Of course, city passed Star Bonds with, I see former Representative John Bradley sitting in the back of the room, largely because of his effort way back, 2010? Okay, 9 and 10. So a lot of good news, big news back in that day. I remember it well. Very exciting, and without recounting all the reasons why it didn't happen, some of which I'm not privy to anyway, it didn't happen. So really in earnest, in about April of 2020, Cody and I started having conversations with lots of people, just even trying to figure out exactly what it was, how to resurrect the phoenix from the ashes, so to speak. So in just a couple of months, that will be 5 years ago. So it is crazy to me how much time passes with this. And if we were to try to document all the ups and the downs and the conversations and the twists and the turns this go-round, it would be a novel to rival some of the thickest, like War and Peace. It's just very difficult to, in one sitting, tell everybody how much work has gone into this effort to bring us to this point. In fact, about the time you think you get to a point, knowing that we've never been through this before, and really no one in the state of Illinois has been through this before, you get to points at like September of 23, which was almost a year and a half ago, when we had a big meeting at the Civic Center and talked about this in earnest the last time. And I'll be honest with you, I thought back then we were a whole lot closer to it then than we obviously were. So that brings us, fast forward another 18 months, almost 18 months, and brings us to this point. We have several people that have been very instrumental to this process between then and now, particularly, that are guests of ours this evening that will be available to the council should they have questions. But I would like for you to stand up and be recognized so that everybody can see who you are, particularly the council here. And I'll try to briefly explain as best as I can in layman's terms what you guys have, role you have filled in this process. So Sean Flynn is with a company called Gilmore Bell. Sean's been here before when we've passed some measures with this. He is the city, or Gilmore Bell is the city's bond counsel. So Gilmore Bell works for the City of Marion in making sure that the documents that we are reviewing tonight, and many others for that matter that led up to these tonight, are in appropriate order to keep T's crossed, I's dotted, and make sure that the city is protected. So thank you, Sean, for being here tonight. Jim Leahy with Stiefel. Thank you, Jim. I think you were here in September of 23. Welcome back. And Stiefel is perhaps the largest, if not one of the largest, I'm not sure, underwriters for municipal bonds in the country. Stiefel's an extraordinarily well-regarded firm. I remember when I was in my school board tenure, when I was on the school board, that's a name that is mentioned many, many times too. So it's not just with municipal underwriting, but many public bodies that use Stiefel and their expertise. So Stiefel will be, if we pass this measure tonight, within the next couple of weeks, is my understanding, we'll be taking these STAR bonds to market. They are the representative that markets the bonds. John Klaus is also here with Stiefel. John, thank you for being, were you here in September 23? Okay, I thought so. So you understand what I'm saying, right? 18 months ago seems like yesterday, and at the same time, it was a long time ago. For the other four of you, if you had any concept of just how many conversations, some of them easy, some of them not so easy, right, Jim? Right. In trying to get this monumental, economy-changing project to the status that it is tonight, if you had any idea how many phone conversations, Microsoft Teams meetings, I think is what you use specifically. I think I've got the passcode memorized at this point. I've never done that before. I've never had to dial it that many times. But I wanted to say this publicly. I'm glad we are using Stiefel because you're outstanding. And despite some tough conversations in the past, it's been a great relationship, and I think it will continue to be moving forward. So we appreciate you very much. Zach Napper is also here with Stiefel. And Zach, I'm not exactly sure what your role specifically within Stiefel is. Would you share that?
Yeah, no, sure. So I'm an analyst, and whatever Jim and John don't want to do, I'm happy to do.
Okay. You're the numbers guy?
More or less.
More or less. Well, there's a lot of numbers in this deal. And so thank you for being here. We appreciate you. Did I miss anybody that's with your team there? There's a lot more thanks that need to be given. I've already mentioned John Bradley. There's a whole history and lineage of how STAR bond legislation got introduced and how Marion, specifically in Southern Illinois, became a party to that. But to make a long story much shorter, I think that's predominantly owed to John Bradley. So John, thank you back then, and thank you for your continued guidance up until this day. I want to thank the Illinois Department of Revenue, who has been an extraordinarily, against all opinions of what you might have of state agencies and the state or government in general, they have been an extraordinary partner with the city, with the developer. This is new, novel, never introduced before legislation in the state of Illinois. There's never been a project get anywhere close, including our own years ago, to where we're at today. So that's nerve-wracking for lots of people, not to mention the least of which is the Illinois Department of Revenue that has to administer all of this and all the tax allocations and things that are needed, not just today, but for the next 35 years. It's going to be needed to service these bonds. So they've been an extraordinary partner, from the director, who also came to our September of 23 meeting, to his chief of staff, and really everybody that we've spoken with at the Department of Revenue has just been extraordinary. And I could not give them enough thanks and kudos. I want to thank my chief of staff, Cody Moak, who I believe at this point, among many other roles, by the way, he is the city's STAR bond administrator. And again, I said this is novel to the state of Illinois, but I believe Cody is the resident expert on all things STAR bonds. Maybe not out of choice, but out of necessity in getting to tonight. But what an extraordinary talent that the city has in Cody. And Cody, I want to thank you. It's of the many conversations we've had with Stiefel, you couldn't even begin to hold a candle to how many you and I have had and trying to figure things out before we even had those calls. So thank you, Cody. And maybe last, but certainly not least, is the master developer team. And that includes, not singularly, But collectively, Rodney Cavness, Shad Zimbro, Jerry Barris, amongst some others that are on your team, but I believe you three are the primary investors. It is your money on the line here. And I have said this to Stiefel in one of those storied conversations, but I don't know that I've ever said it in your presence. This has taken so long and has been so difficult. It is so novel and unique in every aspect that I am absolutely convinced that if our developer wasn't local, already deeply invested in the success of Southern Illinois, and if they just weren't plain good people, that we would not be here tonight, because they wouldn't have stuck through this, through the thick and thin. It is inconceivable to me that some hedge fund on the coast or something like that that just had a lot of investment that they were willing to make would have dug in and stayed in for the long haul. Because this isn't just a commitment over the last 5 years, it's over the next many, many years. So I want to thank the three of you and everybody that works with you for sticking in with this. There is no question in my mind that we wouldn't be here if all three of you were people of lesser character. So thank you all. So I already said to, is there anybody I missed? That the big buckets of people, and gosh, there's lots of others, I'm certain. And if I have glossed over that, I apologize. Probably come to me later. I do want to ask Cody to come up. I've already introduced him and set the stage that he's our resident expert on star bonds. So I thought it would be good, particularly since we have not talked about this in a public setting really in depth since September of 23, to kind of give us a little bit of a timeline on what brought us here, and more importantly, a primer again on what star bonds is, how it works, what it is not, which is just as important. And I think the master developer is going to allow us to show a video that was prepared, I think, for as long. I need to actually ask you this: is that okay to show that video that you're going to be presenting to potential bond prospects? Because it's a good visual that kind of gives everybody an idea of really what we're talking here and the magnitude of what's hopefully, with your approval tonight, gentlemen, about to happen. So Cody, would you walk us through that, please?
Yeah. So just a brief reminder of what star bonds is, and what it's not for that matter. So star bonds is short for sales tax alternative revenue bonds. So the goal there is that you define a project area on a map, and within the project area, all the sales and all the sales tax revenue that's generated within that area are pledged to pay down these bonds. No taxpayer of the City of Marion solely, the city's general fund is not on the hook for paying these bonds back. It's really the best of all worlds when it comes to that respect. It's a win-win for the city because there's virtually no risk, well, there is no risk to the city's general fund. So when we talk about what are the rewards, they're really two or threefold. One, you have to assume that all the people that will come into the area for the project, and again, we'll show you what the project is here soon, they're not just going to spend their tax dollars within the district. They're going to shop at places outside the district. They're probably going to take advantage of the sports complex that we're actively building as well. And a reminder, that project alone is not part of the Star Bond project, the sports complex. It's an agreement, a partnership between Williamson County, the city, and the same developer, but it's not a Star Bond project. The idea of that was it would generate 200,000 plus people coming into Marion every year in order to stay in our hotels and shop and spend money, again, not just within the district, but within the city and within the region. I think it's going to do just that. The beautiful thing about this project and what you're contemplating tonight is it doesn't take into consideration the people that will likely come into the area for that sports complex. So when we talk about the risk associated with issuing these bonds, you've got to understand there's a little bit of a primer there as well in place with the sports complex that can only help this process. But the other beneficiary, other than the businesses in and around the district, is the school district and school districts, not just in the county, but in the region. So if you remember back in 2006 or 2007, the county voters via referendum passed the 1% construction-related sales tax incentive for school districts within Williamson County. You have to assume, based on the numbers that are presented in this project, that fund is going to exponentially grow at a pace that obviously hasn't been seen before, and will be a huge benefit to this. So every school district within the county will benefit greatly because they'll get that supercharged building fund. Additionally, 15% of all of the new real estate tax increment created within the district as a result of these developments will be handed over to the Regional Office of Education, and the regional ROE superintendent will then be able to hand those funds out to districts within their district or even beyond their district. So when we talk about the ROE district, it's Williamson, Johnson, Massac, and Franklin, I believe. And so not only will the districts in those 4 counties benefit, but the ROE has the discretion to spread those funds out as they see necessary. So it's really got a potential there of expanding well beyond Williamson County in its reach. As far as what the project is, we talk about constantly, since I was in high school and I'm sure well before that, what is there to do to keep kids here? What is there for them to do on a Friday night or a Saturday night? Well, the developers in part of this project have answered that. And you'll see some renderings here that are new, haven't been seen before. So we're excited to share those with you, and excited that the developer is helping answer that question. And as far as sales tax in general, again, all the sales tax within the district is dedicated to paying the bonds back. When we say all the sales tax, we don't just mean our local sales tax, our home rule, and our municipal sales tax. We're also referring to the state's 5% sales tax, which makes this, I think it's been quoted as being the greatest economic development tool in North America. So not only does it pair the state's 5%, it pairs our local sales tax with the exception of the county's 0.25% sales tax, and then that 1% school building construction fund. So in total, there's nearly 9% on some of these projects that go into paying these bonds back, which are contemplated today at about $115 million in bonds. The ordinance reads an amount not to exceed $125 million. We hope that buyers oversubscribe and that we have more proceeds, which will only help the project, which will only make the project better. So I'll get into we'll watch the video and show you what the project is, and then we'll talk about the money a little bit. In fact, I'll do that first. So,
Cody, not to interrupt you, but I want to accent a couple of things you said there relative to how the schools benefit. And I'm sorry for interrupting, but that 1% school facility sales tax, which is of which the Williamson County schools are the beneficiary, there's an important nuance to that. So, and I don't mean any disrespect to there's 5 school districts in the county, and I don't mean any disrespect to the other towns in that county, but I think it's sort of self-evident that Marion produces the vast majority of sales tax than those other towns do. But the way that money is distributed is per capita. So even if we produce as a town 80% of the sales tax, and this is a little bit aged, I haven't been on the school board in 9 or 6 years, but I bet it hasn't deviated too far off of this, we'll get 40% of that money. So there's a disproportionate effect on that school facility sales tax with the other towns in the county. And then I think you mentioned it, but where they'll also benefit from is not just the 15% of the incremental property tax, but the amount of construction and new property that's going to be going on here, and additional facilities onto the tax rolls. I hope all the taxing bodies, when that stuff hits their taxing rolls, will be able to, time will tell whether they will, But in theory, the more assessed valuation that they are able to lay their bills over, the lower as a tax rate all of us should have to pay. That is exactly how it should work. So we'll see whether it does work that way. But the schools are disproportionately going to benefit from this, and that's a very good thing. And I say that as a predicate to this, and mainly for those that have heard me complain about the complexity of the Star Bond Act. After this many years of dealing with it, I do believe it is an elegantly crafted piece of legislation, because it is difficult to navigate, but it is the definition of how to set up a win-win-win. That there's nobody that's losing from this, and that's the elegance of it, in my opinion. So I don't know who all crafted that language, but some in the room might have. But nonetheless, I think it's an extraordinary thing for school districts. So sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's good. We'll go ahead and play the video. Okay, so you saw all the components there of the project. All told, the developer, once complete, will have close to $98.1 million invested in, obviously, the existing components as well as the new components. Through this bonding process, I mentioned that we were set to bond $115 million, an amount not to exceed $125 million. That should net out somewhere between $88 and $92 million worth of proceeds. The difference there remains in various escrow accounts in the event that, God forbid, another pandemic or something were to happen that would cause a payment not to be made. Those funds are kind of held in reserve in order to make those payments, so no payments are ever missed. So again, you know, we're talking 50% share in this, the city has, as well as the developer. He's got probably a few more gray hairs than we do on this project. But again, we get asked a lot, you know, why this developer? Why put your eggs in one basket like this? And the mayor touched on it earlier. There's not too many folks in the area that have the stick-to-itiveness to make this happen. And obviously, someone with that kind of capital will have to. There's not a lot of people that can bring in that kind of capital to a project like this. It's got several local banking partners, some of which are here tonight. So it's not just us believing in this master developer. The entire community is kind of rallied around this. And so we're excited for this project. I'm happy to answer any questions. I hate to put all of our guests on the spot, but if anyone else has any questions for any of them, I'm sure they would be happy to entertain your questions.
You guys have the offering document that we got to you early last week, week before last, 2 weeks ago. So hopefully you've had some time to review that and give you the opportunity between then and now to ask us questions. But now is your opportunity to ask Cody any questions, or something we can address, or any of our guests relative to that document. Would you guys, oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'll mention two more things. Construction contracts have been signed, and we're just kind of waiting to get this through the finish line. The mall will be partly operational by the end of this year with some of the things you saw in the video there. The field house and hotel will be operational middle of next year. So these things are going to come together rather quickly once these dominoes fall into place. It's a question I get commonly: when is construction going to start? It's imminent. Once this process gets wrapped up, hopefully within the next 4 weeks, and then from there, construction will start immediately. So.
Questions do you have?
I have this is probably jumping the gun a little bit, and we talked a little bit about this, access to the field house, the hotel, and the sports complex, crossing a busy street. Is there any thought to over, under, crosswalk, flashing light? A lot of kids going back and forth. And I've had people ask me that, what are we going to do to ensure safety for kids traveling back and forth between?
I think at minimum, there will be a substantial crosswalk constructed there, and then we'll look in the future if there's opportunities to put a overpass or underpass along Powder Drive, Williams County Parkway. We'll look to do that through traffic studies and those sorts of things, but at minimum, there will be adequate crosswalks developed in that area.
Would anybody from our Stiefel or Gilmore like to speak to the council and relay anything that's on your minds? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but great opportunity. Jim?
I'd be glad to.
Thank you, Mayor, members, commissioners. Pleasure to be here tonight. I just wanted to say a couple quick things. I've been doing this a long time. Our firm has been doing this a long time, and these projects, the mayor talked about how long it's taken to get to this point, and understand the frustration and the long, agonizing process to get here. But I just wanted to say, this community has been a pleasure to work with. You have some strong advocates for your community, for what's going on. And part of our job is to with Gilmore and Bell's help and other colleagues who are not here this evening, is to tell the story. You have to understand that the purchasers of these bonds will come from the community. There'll be a lot of people who in the community want to invest in a project like this. but they will come from all parts of the United States, which I think is a compliment, and I would be excited about if I was from Marion. There'll be institutions from New York, Chicago, all the big cities, LA, San Francisco, who will want to invest, who will consider investing in this project. So part of our job has been to tell the story. And through the help of Rodney and the developer team, the mayor, Cody, and all of you, you've done a great job in giving us that information. So we want to thank you for that. And if this is approved tonight, just so you understand what happens from here, is that we will start the marketing. We'll print the offering document that tells the story, talks about the bonds, and then we'll start the marketing process the end of this week. And that would hopefully, if everything goes right, would culminate on February 26th. We would actually be able to, on that date, you would know the exact amounts. So the numbers you've seen and information you have is best guesstimates at this point. Cody mentioned an anticipated par amount of $115 million, a not to exceed of 125. When the day of pricing, that number will know to the penny. It will be precise. We'll know it. We'll know how much is actually going into the project fund. You know the exact interest rate, what the payments that'll do. All of those details become final on February 26th, and then closing occurs a couple of weeks later. So I just wanted to share that with you. I didn't want to make a long talk or speech or anything, but this might be the last opportunity that we have on this project. I hope we'll hear them again and have the opportunity. But the other thing is I just want to say is thank you. Thank you for everything you've done. We've only been involved in the last year or so. I know the mayor talked about going back to 2010 when you were going through this process to establish Star Bonds and provide this opportunity. So I know it's been a much longer journey for all of you. Your patience, I hope, is going to be rewarded. I think you're going to have a great project, and hopefully everything goes well with the bond sale. But happy to answer any questions, or my colleague, we can answer any questions you might have, but I just wanted to make those few remarks.
Thank you. Does have any questions of Jim?
With all the multiple investors, I guess it'll be varying interest rates, or will everybody have, I'm just curious.
That's a great question. So it's almost a competition, if you can imagine it that way. And I know the mayor, Cody, one of them mentioned that the hope is, I guess it was Cody, I hope that we're oversubscribed. So we've got, think of it this way, we've got $115 million in bonds that we're offering up. It would be great, I know this sounds crazy, but it's not. Hopefully, if things would really go well, we'd have much more offers to buy these bonds than just $115 million. Hopefully, we'd have $1 billion or $500 million, something like that. And what that means is if we have more buyers of the bonds than we have bonds to offer, as you might imagine what we would do, we'd lower the interest rate. So at the end of the day, Mr. Webb, we would have one interest rate, or we might have multiple bonds, different maturities of those bonds. And so if you bought a bond that's going to mature in 2030, for example, if we have a bond that it ends up being that way, all the purchasers of those bonds would have the same interest rate. So they wouldn't have different interest rates. But what we do is we go out into the market with an interest rate that we think reflects comparables, and there really aren't any, but you know, as much as we can find comparable bonds, and we would offer it up. We get then feedback from those purchasers. Our interest rates are too low, and most of them aren't going to say it's too low. They're looking for the highest return they can get. But we lower it because we've got too many buyers. And even though they may want the interest rate to be, I'm going to make up a number, 6.5% or 7%, we have so many buyers that we can actually make it 6 or 5 3/4, something like that. So it'll be one interest rate per bond.
Okay.
That's the way it would work. And we'll give, the mayor and Cody have asked us if people want to buy bonds, and I'm not trying to sell this this evening, but we just have a public forum, so it's an opportunity to do that. I just want to assure people who are locally here who might have an interest in those bonds, they'll have the opportunity to do that, okay? And we'll make sure you have a name, a contact, an email address, a phone number. You can always call us, but we're going to make sure you get to the right person if anybody wants to buy bonds. So you'll have that information as well.
Very good. Thank you.
Any questions of Jim? Anybody else want to speak? Sean, you want to say anything? No?
Guys, I got nothing else to add. You guys have covered everything, so just appreciate the opportunity.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. I don't know if you guys recall, I don't want to be too bellicose with this, but April 22nd, 2019, we were sworn in, and that year was the 50th anniversary of the moon landing. And in my remarks at the end of that ceremony, I made some analogies and metaphors to that time, thinking about what people 50 years from now would look back on our decade in service and what they might say. So there was a lot of comparisons to our moonshot, what this decade would hold from then. And while the rocket may be on the pad and the fuel's in there and the little steam's coming out the bottom, tonight's vote starts the countdown. So I guess that's another way of saying this is our moonshot. And with that, I will move to approve ordinance 4005, approving the issuance of Series 2025 Star Bonds.
Second that.
Any other discussion? Going twice? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton.
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick.
Yay.
Commissioner Webb.
Yay.
Commissioner Stecklin.
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. Sean, I have before me this ordinance that I am told I need to give to you. Is that correct? So I've got to mark all the ayes and nays, of which there are only ayes.
Mayor, while you're doing that, I would like to say and thank our bond counsel, Gilmore Bell, the wonderful people at Stiefel, right? The IDOR, Illinois Department of Revenue, Cody, but more importantly and most importantly, Shad, Rodney, and Mr. Barris for the commitment you have to this community in investing in it the way you have and the confidence you have in this great city of ours, because in my opinion, there's no place else like it in America. We refuse to believe that we aren't destined for something great, because we are. And I would especially like to thank Mr. Bradley, John Bradley, for resurrecting this and making this possible. Like Mike said, like the mayor said, it's been a long time coming, but we're finally here. And this is an opportunity of a lifetime, not only my lifetime, but our kids' lifetime, to put Marion, Illinois on the map, and people know where Marion, Illinois is. And I thank everybody for that opportunity. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Thank you very much.
Great. Sean? It is a great pleasure that I'm in this opportunity. It's been a long time coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Stay back here, it's okay. I'd actually prefer you come to the mic, or otherwise it won't be on the video. They won't be able to hear.
You knew you were going to have to.
Thank you. Thank you all very much for the confidence. It means a lot. This is a big deal. The more I learn about it, the more real that this becomes, the more I realize how transformational this is, and I can't wait to be a part of showing us and showing everyone what the opportunity that Southern Illinois has because of Star Bonds, and because you all had the courage and the wisdom to think outside the box and look for a way to make change. And well, I think you did big. I think you found it. So Gilmore and Bill and Stiefel, I just can't say enough about those guys. They had a pretty novice student here trying to figure all this out, and they were amazing and incredibly helpful. And I don't think you could get a better team than those guys. And our development team has been working tirelessly to make this all happen, but it's a labor of love, and for us, for all three of us, and everyone that's in here tonight, it's been more than just the last 5 years. It's been the last 20 years. So, and it's been our privilege to be here and to be a part of all this, and look forward to the future. So, thank you again for the confidence.
Thank you. I had mentioned it earlier, but we had this at more of the beginning of the meeting so that we could let our guests go home, which all have to travel back to their homes this evening. But we're going to give them an opportunity to do that before we move on with other business. But I'd like to shake your hands. I'm going to come back to you, but I'd like to shake all of your hands before you leave. We'll adjourn just for a moment. I'll recess.
Let's go. Chance to walk anyway.
Party time. And Mayor, this could be the first of some other phases, right? I mean,
Yeah, we didn't mention that. I really think we will see these
I thought I
guys
seen
back.
$400 million number somewhere.
Well, here's what happens. As soon as there are so many people out in the wings that have expressed interest in coming here, and I'm not going to name who they are, I'm not going down that road. They want to see something first. Okay. And as soon as the stuff starts coming out, you're going to see other dominoes fall out. Yeah. And there'll probably be additional dominoes. Thank you. Thanks for hanging in there. Okay, we're going to move on with the agenda. Item number 6, I think we are. Street Department. Commissioner Webb, we'll make this motion, but why don't you go ahead and explain this? I think you know a little bit about it, Cody.
Yeah, so we've had a halfway road storm drainage project that's been ongoing from a planning standpoint. It hasn't physically started yet. And what has come up in that planning process is that There's several, once we started doing Julie's and understanding what was already underground, there were several changes that need to be made to the tune of this change order, which is $41,895.96. There was a couple of inlets that needed to be moved. Additionally, that led to some additional linear footage of 30-inch pipe that would have to be laid. And then because of an Ameren gas line underground, the discharge into what the retention basin that's behind Cornerstone Church, where all this water is going to be carried eventually, needed to be moved as well. And again, that added some linear footage. There were some additional electrical lines that we had to relocate around and which led to some pavement repairs. So those changes in total add up to that total I mentioned earlier. And then one change is this project was originally supposed to be wrapped up April 1st, and now it's the contractor, after talking with the contractor, he had already hoped to be started this year. That obviously has not happened due to the weather. So he's asked that we push the completion date out to May 1st from April 1st. So the hotel lot is not intended to be paved by then, so we don't have a huge urgency to get this done until the hotel parking lot is paved. But this will be done well ahead of that. So.
And just as a reminder, we had set the money aside out of the project fund to do this project in a previous budget year. Obviously, we didn't set this $41,000 aside.
There's another bill coming too. So.
Is it on this project?
Yeah.
Do we know how much it is?
We don't. It'll be from Ameren for, while we did some relocations, they also have to do some relocations of some of their lines, and so I still haven't seen that number yet, so stay tuned.
Okay. So I haven't figured out where that's coming up just yet, but it either has got to come out of this year's allotment from the project fund, or it may have to come out of the general fund to do this, but.
I thought I was already supposed to have that bill from them, but
Okay.
it did not come before the meeting.
Well, I mean, do you have a flavor for what it's going to be? I mean, is it?
I hate to say.
Is it power lines?
Yes, but the gas crew was also out there last week, so.
And the gas, I think it's a high pressure line, isn't
Yeah, I
it?
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if we should.
They're abandoning a pedestal in this process.
Okay.
I hope it's less than this one, I'll put it that way.
Well, I guess that's where I was going. Is
Yeah.
Are we talking about 6 figures, or are we talking about
No,
5
I hope
figures?
I hope it's less than this.
Okay.
Change.
Well, this drainage desperately needs to be addressed regardless out there. But anyway, that's the pay-fors of this and what's not known yet on this part. I will figure it out, but not 100% sure right now. But the bulk of this, like I said, was set aside already. Would you like to
Yes.
make the motion?
I'd make a motion to approve change order for the halfway road storm drainage project in the amount of $41,895.96.
I would second that motion.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Abstain.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Commissioner Steckland,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. Item 6B, Commissioner Webb.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of an equipped 2003 International 7000, actually I think it's a 7200 dump truck to replace a damaged unit. We unfortunately had one of our older trucks had almost 500,000 miles involved in a accident here recently. Put that truck out of commission. We still use it on a regular basis for snow removal. So fortunately, Doug was able to find one up a couple hours away that had a good price on it. I think it was $30,000, I believe.
Yeah.
And fortunately, it came with a snow plow and a tailgate spreader and everything. So we've got it all hooked up and going to use it tomorrow, actually. So if the snow proves itself. So, but that would be my motion.
I'll second that.
This one was not budgeted for. This one will come out of the general fund budget. So, but that being said, I don't know where Doug turned this thing like that, because that was very resourceful coming up with this truck.
Yes, it was.
When I found out we wrecked that other truck, I thought, oh boy, talk about 6 figures. That's exactly what I knew
Yeah.
with that equipment would be. So kudos to Doug for scrounging around and finding this truck.
I think that old truck had 470 some odd.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what he said, 500,000 miles, yeah.
What's the life of these trucks?
Apparently more than 400, until you wreck them.
And more than 22 years, obviously, because
Yeah.
if this is an upgrade,
Yeah.
Yeah.
how old was the other one?
Yeah.
It was about this age, wasn't it?
98, I think.
Yeah.
Was it?
I mean, it's not uncommon to put 1 million miles on some of them trucks,
Sure.
you know, but that's usually they've got an engine overhaul in that period of time, you know.
Yeah.
so.
I'm not sure this one would have made it to 1 million.
No.
Without, or that we would have wanted to spend that on it. It was
Yeah.
getting pretty worn out to begin with. But. Okay, any other questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton?
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Stecklin?
Yay.
Mayor Absher?
Yay. Item 7A, Commissioner Barwick.
I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 4006, directing the sale of surplus police vehicles.
I'll second it. Chief, you want to run through anything with this?
Just here for questions if you have any.
I take it these were all cruisers at one time?
These are the old Ford Tauruses, really, really old, a ton of miles. They no longer serve any purpose for us. And thankfully, Jim Hayes was interested and willing to purchase them. That also included, if you've ever seen it, that old black vehicle that used to be an ambulance that the PD secured many, many years ago that's been sitting there, not running, unable to move it. That's going to.
You guys have any questions of the chief? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton?
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Stecklin?
Yay.
Mayor Absher?
Yay. Under item number 8, economic development, we've got 4 different TIFs, but TIF redevelopment agreements. The first of item A being, I'll just make a motion to approve ordinance 4001, a hub TIF redevelopment agreement with Yellow Door Builders. I believe this is for the facility they have down here on Union Street, their meeting facility.
I'd second that motion.
Any questions on 8A? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton?
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Stecklin?
Yay.
Mayor Absher?
Yay. Item 8B, somebody else mind to read that?
Make a motion to approve ordinance 4002, a residential TIF 2 redevelopment agreement with Barnett Reynolds and Real Estate Development LLC.
I'd second that.
And where's this project? Fox's Cleaners Building, okay. Any questions on 8B? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton?
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Stecklin?
Yay.
Mayor Absher?
Yay. Item 8C, somebody mind?
I'd make a motion to approve ordinance 4003, a hub TIF redevelopment agreement with Fleet Fabrication and Wiring LLC.
Second that?
In this project?
Unless you were looking for it, I don't know that you would see it. It's a pole barn building that sits off of Court Street, just behind the fire department and behind, I think is Hales Automotive, maybe Annex building, which is just north. This sits, I don't know, 100 yards off of Court Street, back in there.
Very back corner.
What are they planning to do?
This is a business owned by one of our former police officers, Bart Baldwin. He
Oh.
does outfitting for different vehicles and that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
And he's just making some general improvements to this building for that to become his permanent shop.
Cool. Good, first and second.
Yes.
Any questions on 8C? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton?
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Stecklin?
Yay.
Mayor Absher?
Yay. Item 8D.
I'd make a motion to approve ordinance 4004, a residential TIF 1 redevelopment agreement with SI Thermal.
I'll second that.
This was a house flip on Hillcrest. I believe it was previously a burnt-out home that wasn't damaged enough that it couldn't be salvaged. So Matt Odom with SI Thermal bought the property, renovated it, and is getting ready to list it for sale. Did a nice job with it.
Okay. Questions on 8D? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton.
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick.
Yay.
Commissioner Webb.
Yay.
Commissioner Stecklin.
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. All right, Commissioner reports. Doug, do you have a report tonight?
I do. As you know, we've kind of been a person down the last few weeks, and I wanted to compliment our staff who has put in some extra work due to being that one person down. We've recently completed all the W-2s, 1099 and 1099s, and just wanted to let everybody know that I and the treasurer, Lance Roy, appreciate their hard work. Also, LaDonna Smoot will also celebrate her 15th year with the city on February 22nd. Congratulations to her. We appreciate her as well.
Mr. Barwick?
Have the fire department report for the month of January. Responded to 21 100 series fire calls, 6 300 series rescue and EMS, 35 400 series hazardous conditions with no fire, 12 service calls, 9 good intent calls, 30 activated alarms for a total of 113. And the Marion Police Department for the month of January, we had 12 city ordinance violations, 186 criminal/traffic citations, 22 warrant arrests, 223 incidents reported, 159 traffic accidents, and 4 DUIs. The month of January, there were 1,445 dispatched calls, 1,779 911 calls, 3,954 non-emergency calls, and 164 ambulance calls. That's all I have.
Mr. Webb?
Yeah, street department, continuing on picking up the limbs. Got a lot done, got more to do. Hopefully we don't have any new limbs fall this week. Patching potholes, freezing thaws create a lot of that work, so I've been working diligently on those, doing some signage work as well. Cemetery, we had 8 burials in the month of January. That's all I have.
Mr. Stecklin?
Water department reports 8 meter pits were repaired or replaced, 7 water leaks were repaired, 3 services were updated, 2 new water taps, and 3 fire hydrants were repaired this month. I do want to mention that I believe we broke a record Saturday night at the Civic Center for the loudest decibel known to man. 1,100 screaming 8-year-old girls. It was not. There were a few. There were a few. I did it for my granddaughter, but yeah, it was a really good show and sold out thing, so it was really good. Also, I want to mention this Saturday, Connect 360 and stuff food drive out at the high school starting at 10 a.m. So that's out at the high school on Saturday. So that's all I have.
Okay. I've got a report from Jill at the at Club 60, formerly known as the Senior Citizen Center. She reports that Club 60's construction is progressing well in phase 1 with new drywall up, windows are framed, and a new room addition, and multiple upgrades. Despite the renovations, all services have continued with some adaptations, including all activities and the Senior Food Box program in partnership with Cornerstone Church. Along with the facility's full name change and renovation, we are introducing new programs such as Stock Talk, and individual and group technology classes focusing on smartphones and tablets, designing their own graphics and t-shirts with direct transfers. Additionally, we're assisting seniors with tax filing in a new way by guiding them through the IRS's free online tax filing system, which also encourages participation in our technology classes. She says these updates reflect their commitment to modernization while maintaining essential support for seniors. Just wanted to make sure to thank all of the commissioners for allowing her and them to serve others as they are changing the face of aging right here in Marion. Anything under Item 10, miscellaneous. Anything else to come before the council for the good of the city? Wendy? Cody? Chief? Terrence? Carmen? Alex? The press? Tammy? Okay, hearing nothing else to come before the council. Anybody have a need for a closed or executive session this evening? Okay. Hearing no need for a closed session, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I would make a motion, we adjourn.
I'd second that.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton?
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Stecklin?
Yay.
Mayor Absher?
Yay. Thank you all. Big night.